Welcome back to some professional Age of Empires for the very first major tournament. $20,000, the majority of which is on the line in this best of 7 match. At least one of these players you're likely to recognize if you're an Age of Empires fan, but I'll fill you in otherwise. Let me first introduce you to picking English here in game number 1. Probably the most recognizable player in Age of Empires 2, and now making it, unsurprisingly, to the finals of Age of Empires 2+2, it is TheViper. For those of you who might be more of a StarCraft-oriented follower, he's essentially the Cyril of AoE 2. The best, most recognizable player, but, of course, there are a lot of other competitive individuals as well. So I'm gonna go ahead. The Challenger. I believe he's claim to fame, besides this tournament, is Age of Mythology. No, not a made-up game. A real game about made-up things. But one of the more dramatic Age games. And his name is TheMista. And this is the Genesis EGC tournament finals by the elite gaming community. If you consider yourself an elite gamer, well, make sure to check out their Discord and find other elite gamers there, as well as thank them for supporting this first tournament. We are not long into the release of Age of Empires 4. The metagame has yet to be figured out. The mechanics are something that a lot of people are still struggling to wrap their heads and hands around, but these players have risen to the top from it. Let me first tell you the rules in this tournament, and I think this was a lot of foresight. If you win, it's a blind pick on the first game. What civilization of the 8 civilizations? English, Abbasid Dynasty, French, Mongols, Delhi Sultanate, Holy Roman Empire, Chinese, and whatever Rus is what I'm forgetting. So, a blind pick in the first match, and then once you win a game with a civilization, it's eliminated from your pool. So you no longer can play that civilization. But if you lose, you can continue playing it until if you ever win. So far, the main picks for players have been French, with a strong pick, especially on water maps, and a close second, especially more on land maps, Mongols, English, and Abbasid Dynasty here that TheMista is playing. Definitely making the rounds. The hidden pick, the meta pick, is the Delhi Sultanate, with a very different set of mechanics, but we'll see if we make it that far. Right now, a lot of players are kind of revolving a lot of things around French. French, described, and I think accurately, as the Protoss of AoE 4. It has a lot of strong mechanics that don't take a lot of time to figure out, and is very strong in best of ones. But when you have to play a more drawn-out series, especially one where you have other civilizations, you gotta have a little more depth. And I'm not surprised to see these players picking not French, essentially, in Game 1, especially with some water maps as an option. Alright, so what are the specifics? The Abbasid Dynasty. It has the House of Wisdom, which is a different landmark mechanic than the others. In Age of Empires 4, you build up to 4 landmarks, where the Abbasid Dynasty builds 2, but the House of Wisdom adds different wings. In this case, the economic wing is the choice to get to the Second Age, the Feudal Age, for TheMista. And that will give him access to half-price villagers. With the fresh foodstuffs, the obvious pick here as we start things off. On the other side, the Viper, the only real choice is the Council Hall, which makes Longbowmen ridiculous. It's 7 seconds. 7 seconds to pop out a Longbowman. All right. Like, think of all the things you could do. I can't even finish a sentence in 7 seconds, but another longbow. Strelable! Let's get the Vipers. Let's see if we can hear them come out. And they're very loud and in charge. despite their limited damage individually. Longbows, a little more costly on food than your average archer, but more range. And of course, you can just pump them out of that council hall. I don't know what they're doing in there, but those longbows come out hard and fast. And that is something the other civilizations have to respect. The Abbasid dynasty does have access to camel archers in Age 2, but they just do not trade well with the longbows. The best choice are the horsemen, as the Mista is building now. But the longbows were only 6 minutes in, and already 4, 5, 6 coming across the map. The Viper currently has 7 longbows, as well as... Let's go to his vision, because this is another part of Age of Empires 4 that I think is super important to note, how vision works and how important it is. As maintaining vision, especially in these stealth forests, is hard to do and definitely favors the player who's more diligent with their scouts. Like the Viper, able to get some here with some of his archers outside the forest, but notice as he goes right back in, vision dissipates. It's kind of like smoke blockers in SC2 or vision blockers. Those stealth forests are scattered around. Technically, you can chop down those trees and reveal vision. You can create outposts, or you can use scouts, which can see through the forest and have additional vision, but regular army units have very limited. It's a lot like siege tanks with Vikings in SC2, I think, is a pretty solid comparison. Just being able to get that extra vision of things around. Like right now, well, we can reveal the map for everyone. Viper with a scout out ahead. Mista, on the other hand, with his horses, he does have an outpost which sees into the edge of the forest here. And he's been building these horsemen. I imagine Viper's going to be adding on some spears. And now, while your Age of Empires 4 games may feature a bit more of a passive start at the higher level, Age of Empires 4 is fought in the Feudal Age. We fight in Age 2. There is almost no game that goes without a big exchange in the Second Age, because you have access to rams with the siege engineering upgrade, and a lot of units that counter each other hard and fast. Between the longbows, the horsemen, and everything else, you just really don't have an opportunity to wall off before your economy or your army is under threat. Mista, caught by a scout. I'm not sure where he was headed. Maybe looking for an outpost in the other stealth forest. Longbows still looking to come together. Viper, does he have a blacksmith right now? No, he has a barracks. No blacksmith yet. Defending against the horsemen on the back line. Adding on the blacksmith now. And also starting to mine some stone, though the horsemen are going to discourage that for a moment. The English have the network of castles upgrade. That's what you hear, the beautiful ding-ding there, which increases the attack speed of units by 25%. In the Castle Age, you can upgrade that to 50%. It's a little ridiculous. You can start machine gunning those intercontinental ballistic longbows. But to start out, it is a nice defensive bonus, on top of the fact that English TCs just shoot twice as many arrows. Mista still building up back at home. Viper forced to bring his longbows back, and the fact he's mining stone at this stage implies he's thinking about getting a second town center as opposed to going for some sort of feudal all-in, especially the Mista. That is a lot of horsemen here. And while spears are pretty decent against them, obviously things with horses usually are able to outrun dudes with a long stick. But depending on what you ask the Mongols and their yam network, it's definitely not how you say that. But we do not have any Mongols here. I almost guarantee you'll see them as time goes on in this series. So where does this leave us? Let's do income per minute here. Where does this leave us? The worker count is now 32 to 35 in favor of the Mista. Remember, he has those half-price villagers. A little easier to pump them out. Another bonus, honestly, you know what the bonus comes from? This is my favorite part of the Abbasid dynasty. When you age up, it takes no villagers takes no villagers to build the landmark. You build it on the House of Wisdom. It constructs at about the speed of 3 to 4 villagers building for the other civilizations, besides Chinese, which builds faster. So, that 3 villager advantage might not be directly related to that, but it is kind of an indirect economic bonus for Abbasid that they can age up without having villagers build their landmark. We got steeled arrows completing +1 ranged attack. More stone on the way for the Viper. He's going to be looking for a second town center and adding on those discounted bonus English farms. English farms half price, and they're 15% more efficient near a mill, or whatever Spirit of the Law said. The advertised bonus is 15%. I believe it's somewhere around there. But Spirit of the Law is the authority on just math in general, so make sure to check him out. As for economic upgrades, what I've noticed is a lot of players will maybe get the first round of economic upgrades, which are 175 gold, which is still pretty steep, considering Castle is 600. Usually the second round is a bit more, a bit more situational, and I've almost never seen anyone get to the third round of economic upgrades. They are ridiculously expensive. Longbows making their way around. There is no vision here because the trees actually block the outpost. The full vision blockers are a bit of a problem there. Mista does have the unit. The Abbasid dynasty does get a bonus. They can double the berries. The lowest hanging fruit is sometimes the juiciest one, says the dynasty. And those berries are something kind of like gold for French or wood for English is a resource, if you can pressure, is a strong choice for your opponent. A lot of horsemen here, and he has +1 melee and +1 ranged armor, and is going up into the castle age while all this is happening. Getting the culture wing probably for the technology cost reduction. Oh yeah, he's got the berries over there. Viper putting some pressure on. Let's see. How close is he to his... No, he's just pumping units right now. He does not have a second TC. He does have enough stone for it, but he's actually taking a fight. Missed on top of everything here. Looking for an opportunity, but spears and some palings even, which are static spears for 1 charge against horsemen. They're situational, but it doesn't hurt to have them, as it costs nothing but a cooldown on the longbows. The palings just somewhat discourage any sort of activities. Jimmy, how many times do we have this? How many times? Yes. Smart health bars. Smart. What does it mean? Nobody knows. But smart health bars, Jimmy. Come on. Alright, the longbows are moving in. Viper looking for an opportunity. Believe he has the +1 attack upgrade. Yes, +1 attack. He's also picked up his +1 ranged and melee armor. Armor upgrade's definitely the default choice, whereas attack upgrades are more limited to range. This is because melee already does so much damage already and has a lot of variables, whereas arrows usually do limited damage, and having ranged armor is a significant damage reduction. Mista sharking around the horseman, forcing Viper back. Network of castles isn't going to help you when the... Well, the horseman got a little distracted. He's got those feudal men-at-arms, but the Mista has reached the castle age. He's put on some solid map control while getting the castle. I don't know if Viper really realized that Mista wasn't fully committed to his units here. The horsemen on top of everything. 5 lucky villagers get stuck into the outpost. The rest are slaughtered. There's not enough room. What do you mean? You could fit 5 horses in here. Well, your mom's like a horse. Billy! Billy! Strala. Well, that's a manga now. Whoa! There's almost no... The Viper has almost no vision here. Even if he could get in range of the mangonel, it's very good luck getting up that high ground. While there is no bonus from the high ground, it's not easy for the units to navigate those choke points. Mista has just exerted constant map control. He was pumping out the horsemen even before seeing the longbows, because like English and longbows go together like English and tasteless food or something. Like you're gonna expect it, and you know what they're doing. You know what it's gonna be. It's nothing original. They're gonna say, "Oh, this is my faction flavor" or whatever. Okay. But here comes... Oh, he's using my favorite part of the Abbasid dynasty. I keep saying favorite part. They got a lot of cool mechanics. They get siege engineering built in, and they can build extra siege on the field. They can build springles. They can build mangonels. They don't need no siege workshops. Even the army itself is so knowledgeable in the construction of these things, they can build them directly in front of the face of a tower with no concern. A ram on the way. So those springolds, which are essentially super anti-siege crossbows, very good against siege weapons, and pretty solid against everything else. They do 60 damage a hit, and have a lot of HP. On top of the fact they're able to be built on the field by these archers, makes them a great complement, especially if you get castle earlier than your opponent. The archers are doing emotional damage to the ram. Viper has reached the castle age, immediately starts veteran longbows to upgrade to maybe actually do damage. But right now, Mista's pushing in, breaking down the houses, the mangonels, throwing rocks across the town center. The council hall is vulnerable. He chose the white tower, which is essentially a keep. And another thing for English, you can produce units out of your keeps, which is quite convenient, especially since one of your landmarks is a keep. Maybe not as convenient as building springolds and rams on the field, but pretty close. Pretty close. Viper looking for some sort of engagement angle here. The ram bashing through one of the outposts. Mangonel zoning out. I'm not sure what Viper has on the table here that he's waiting for. Let's go to his production tab. He's building a springold to try to counter the springolds of his opponent, but against the Abbasid, it's very likely you're not going to be able to outmatch, because they didn't have to spend any wood on a siege workshop to build those springolds, let alone being able to build them on the fly. Though, the infantry units cannot repair them, so there is that. If you bring a couple villagers up, maybe you have the opportunity. Viper looking for a shot, sniping off a springold. 3 shots to take it out. Longbows, like 2 mangonels, not enough to one-shot longbows, but it's not going to make their life any easier. Without the ability to take out those mangonels, Viper's kind of just forced, zoned out of his town center. The horseman, the veteran horseman at this point, the castle age. I think a single camel archer, by the way, which has an aura that reduces cavalry damage. Not a huge deal here, but if there was to be any cavalry, there are several camel-based auras. Camels are the sentries of Age of Empires 4. It does feel a little weird, yes, but it is what it is. Viper trying to snipe in with a springold, but does the springold also get the network of castles bonus? I did not know that. So that is something that may give Viper, like, that is some comeback potential, because the springolds are the attack speed bonus may allow him to trade a little better. Also, he may be able to upgrade the network of citadels, which is a very cool name. It's actually not that expensive. 200 gold and 75 stone, but stone is the thing he's struggling with right now. The worker count, 55 to 63. Mista, I believe, still on 1 town center. 1 TC means not that much villager production. If Viper is somehow able to clean up this army somewhat efficiently, then there's a good chance of bouncing back. He does have Age 3, and if he can get to Imperial, he has the ability to make gold from farms. So that is definitely one of the best late-game bonuses. We could actually be looking at something of a base trade. 9 formation used. 3 Springolds now. Finally snipes off the ram. Viper looks like he wants to engage. He's got +2. He's got +1/+1. Mista, on the other hand, has the same upgrade, the same armor upgrades with +1 melee attack. +1 melee attack is also done here for the Viper. Oh, looking for the snipes. Looking for the Springolds. He gets the Mangonel, but the Springolds from the Mista, a little bit of overkill there. You gotta watch out for that. The concave of longbows trying to back off against the Mangonels. At this point, it looks like he's just trying to clear the Mangonels and use his longbows for all they're worth. Are they worth enough, though? As the horsemen have more than enough armor. He's running. Horsemen closing the distance. There's no pikes. There's nothing to really stop them. They're barely scratching the fancy paint of that horseman armor. He has the White Tower on the as something of a backstop, but rams might be enough to bash through it. The longbows finding a decent angle, picking off a few horses, but a horseman doesn't cost any gold. Neither does a longbow, but in the long run... Ugh. Well, the longbow count is still very high. Springolds continue sieging. The ram will be able to magnetically attract all the arrows from the tower if it gets within range. A little bit of healing. It does. The campfires do not stack, but they do slowly heal the longbows, especially in these sort of kind of skirmish engagements. Well, the Springolds, though, their arrows are bigger. So Viper with a bit of stabilizing here. I think the Mista not really committing fully to the attack ended up with a single man-at-arms just murdering villagers. The tank-at-arms, rather, or the chat-at-arms, I've heard, as one of the better names, as it has so much base armor that archers essentially can't kill them. You have to weigh them down with the amount of arrows that are stuck into their plate, and that's how you kill a man-at-arms with archers. You don't actually kill them with the damage, it's just the overwhelming weight of the arrows they've tanked. A very convenient double patch here. A large stone outcrop, as well as a gold vein right next to each other. Gonna be nice for the Viper. The Springolds, almost none of them in full repair. Mista stalled out for now. Viper at 63 against 73 villagers. Mista is still on 1 TC. And starting, honestly, one of the most valuable resources and the hardest to come by as the game goes on is wood. As farms do not run out, once you've invested the wood, you have farms until they're either destroyed or you're no longer able to work them. So... but they are costly to start, so the transition into farms is costly in wood, and then siege weapons, costly in wood, buildings, costly in wood, and trees thin out quite quickly. Viper has stabilized. He's only down a few supply. Mista was not able to consolidate into a game-ending push, and now Viper, I think we all understand as probably the best mechanical player in Age of Empires, not relying on super flashy micro, but instead on incredibly solid mechanics. And here in AoE 4, it seems like that is still holding true. Only 10 people can fit in this town center, everybody else wait outside, which is quite unfortunate for several of the villagers that were trying to deal with the knights or lancers, which are knights by another name. How did you get here? So this is happening. I don't know how a single spearman made it into the wood line, but here we are. Let's bring the incomes up. Yeah, the Mista, it feels like his castle timing didn't really do the critical damage that a 1 TC castle could have. I think with a little more focus, like a couple more rams to focus the town center, or at least draw fire, and force Viper to commit to a fight may have been the play, but right now Mista still, well actually the scores are about even when once Mista had a pretty significant lead. Though Viper's unit composition still leaves a lot to be desired against what he's dealing with. As there are a bunch of Springolds from Mista. He's got 5 Springolds, 30 horsemen. A few camels, mostly for the aura, I assume. A couple mangonels. Viper, on the other hand, 39 longbows, 11 pikes, and 7 Springolds. Springolds definitely one of the favorite units of players early on. Yeah, the network of castles bonus with those Springolds is going to be incredibly helpful as well. Did he get network of citadels? He hasn't yet, which is definitely an oversight. That is certainly worth it, especially for your Springolds. Oh, these are Lancers. Oh my god. Wait. I was wrong. I apologize. Horsemen don't have the armor also for that. They also don't get the cool horses. They just get whatever the horses were at the stable. Yeah, 30 Lancers is actually even significantly scarier than 30 horsemen. 3 spearmen coming through the trees with murder in their hearts. Though, a bit of an unwieldy style of attack. I don't know. The 3 spearmen counterattack is maybe not the most effective at killing villagers. Neither side able to click up towards Imperial yet, though. No, the Mista's still pretty far off. 80 to 76 villagers, as Viper did add on that second town center. It feels like neither player wants to commit. As I say it, the mangonels from the high ground rain down death. I did not realize this high ground existed. Wow. Cinematic. Give me cinematic mode, Jimmy. The Abbasid army. Yeah, this is pretty rough. Once again, while there isn't a damage bonus from the high ground, good luck with this. The Springolds could fire up into it. Yeah, the network of castles activated. The dinging bell saying, "Hey guys, there's a problem over here." Yeah, still hasn't gotten the... I think there are a lot of upgrades, so only some of the civilizations have upgrades as opposed to just weapon emplacements on their keeps, aka castles, aka not castles. But some of them do have those key upgrades, and even the top players, I think, have kind of forgotten. In Age of Empires 2, the castle is home to many of the key mid and late game upgrades, but AoE 4 kind of splits them between other buildings, usually. 3 rams trying to take out the keep on the high ground. How does Mista respond to that? He's actually retreating from his cliff position. He has to go all the way around, though, which his army is really not enthusiastic about. And that means the rams will easily be able to just bash through this keep while the longbow have the run of the place. Yeah, Mista taking his sweet sweet time here. Bringing it all the way back around. Viper likes this keep location. He'll take it for himself with the sacred sites we haven't even mentioned. Wait, what am I watching? Oh, they went inside the house? Kill a man in his home? No mercy from the Abbasids. Mista has rotated around to defend, though he has lost this position entirely. Ooh. Can he see? He sees parts of the army through the fog of war here, and will be able to engage. But Viper forced to retreat as... Wow, that's a lot of Lancers! While the supplies may be even... Wow, that's so many Lancers! Oh my god. Lancers once again, Knights, but he has 39. Okay, yeah, never mind. I did not he has more Lancers than longbows and spears combined. Yeah, the supply didn't really tell the story. Wow, he just rolls the army. He just powers right through it. Not even remotely close. I think he lost like 3 Lancers in all that. Honestly, the Lancers on their own probably could have done it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think he's super dead. Yeah, the Lancers are really good. Viper had not seen the commitment to this. He'd just been kind of holding it behind his army. Remember, vision is super important. Viper had not seen the unit count for like the last 10 minutes. He's seen Springolds and Mangonels and all that, but for quite a while he had not seen the commitment to that cavalry, or I imagine we'd see significantly more spears. Yeah, this is going to be a one-sided fight once again. A little bit closer because Viper's been pumping out the spears, but there's no way he can reinforce this in time. And game 1 will be going to TheMista. The better the so far. And now begins the speculation on the civilization picks in match 2. Well played. GG. A little awkward how the music just stops. Jimmy, give me the good song. I think... Yeah, now Abbasid is off the table. Viper can pick English again if he'd like. We'll have to see. I'm not sure exact. I think Viper also gets to pick the map, but I'm not 100% on that. We're bringing it up. I will tell you, nobody picked English. None of the same civilizations will be featured. And I want now. I know some of Twitch chat may have a bit of a prediction opportunity, but Jimmy, we're going back to the game. To the game. Is that a town center I see? Yes. Not speeding across the map quite yet. The Viper has picked the Mongols. Starting as nomads, but quickly transitioning into wanting resources. The Uvu enthusiasts, with their additional production, the flexibility unmatched by other civilizations. Just to be clear, the TC Rush strategy is banned in the tournament and will hopefully be patched soon. But he's up against the French. Yes, the French. Currently, the meta pick on the ladder. They just have every eco bonus under the sun and some at night as well. They have faster villager production. They've got royal knights, which all on paper combine to, much like Protoss and StarCraft 2, give you a lot of things that out of the box are very strong. But, one, the Mongols can match that feudal age production with the Uvu discounts, and more we'll go over soon. And also, everyone's just been playing against French. Like the whole ladder, not 90%, but like 60% of the ladder near the top plays French most of the time. And the rest play Mongols, so there's a lot of back and forth. Everyone has a ton of experience dealing with this. We will see what it ends up being, and I think Viper was able to counterpick the French with the Mongols, but I'm not 100% on that. Right now, I think the prevailing opinion is Mongols can counter French more easily than any other civilization. And remember that, of course, the Viper is one of the best players, if not the best. That's kind of what we're trying to determine here. So, I am interested to see the Ubu. You can put anything within the... It's a little awkward. It is a static building, unlike anything else. You can pack up and move all your buildings like the best of Terrans. It allows you to produce 2 units for the price of 1. That's it. So, it mines stone. I would think of stone as like another resource, like terrazine in StarCraft 2. So it mines stone at the rate about 5 villagers would mine stone. But the stone cannot be bought or sold. You can't build keeps, you can't build walls. But it is used to fuel production and bonus upgrades. Whether it is double unit production or the ability for Mongols off the blacksmith to build mangonels and springolds on the field, much like the Abbasid dynasty. You get a lot of nice bonuses and that bonus unit production. On top of this, the Mongols also have a raid bonus. Whenever they set a building on fire, which takes more than 1 torch, okay? But whenever a building gets below about a quarter HP, it's started on fire. This includes farms, by the way. That might become relevant. And the Mongols get, by default, 50 food and 50 gold. That building costs the French. For example, the lumber camp costs the French 25 wood. But the Mongols can make 50 food and 50 gold off setting it on fire. So you actually have to be quite careful about not having too many extraneous buildings that the Viper can tower rush. Here we are. Spears coming across the field 4 minutes in. Multiple towers queued up. We are not getting to that disgusting feudal age. No, the Dark Ages were ruled by the Mongols. That is unfortunate. Not a good start. Not a good start for the Viper. You don't want to lose the Khan. So the Khan is the spiritual leader of the people. Not actually a great combat unit. It does serve the purpose of a scout, but also has several abilities that including signal arrows that allow you to maneuver your units quicker or give them more damage, stuff like that. So, losing it to the town center is not the ideal opener, but we will see. Oh, I think the one thing you don't get a raid bonus for setting on fire is walls here. I don't think walls actually burn. Yeah, he did not get a raid bonus. But I really should have just waited like 10 seconds to speak. But that would kind of defeat the purpose of me being here, eh? So, yes, don't worry. After a couple minutes of an internal power struggle, a new Khan will rise. And then we'll do it all again. And every age, the Khan gets some upgrades, and there are also some Uvu upgrades and stuff like that. So the Mista, he added on a couple walls to kind of just zone out with his outposts here. Outposts don't fire unless they have units in them, unless you upgrade weapon emplacements later on. But that is not something you invest in early. A new Khan rises. Maybe this one will be a little bit more cautious of laser-guided arrow. Alright. Nista. He's not actually building knights. I mean, when your opponent has been pumping half-price spearmen, then maybe knights are not the ideal opener. And this is why Mongols are such a counterpick to the French, as they can literally have double the spearmen of the other civilizations, as well as a lot of aggressive potential early on. Yeah, some extra scouts on the way. Is he gonna go for the, you know, I've come around to this. Professional scouts. You can now kill deer in one shot, and you can pick up their carcasses and bring them back home. I first thought this upgrade for 275 gold, but 30% off for French, because that's how French do, was kind of mediocre. But each deer is worth 350 food. It only costs 1,200 to get to castle. Each set of these deer has about 7. 6 for the ones further away. So you can easily get enough food not only for castle, but also imperial, with a motivated set of scouts. Things get really awkward when both players go for the upgrade, though. Because deer doesn't, like, animals do not rot, they do not decay, so they can be picked up and moved at any time. So as long as they haven't been fully harvested, any player with this upgrade can pick up the deer, which has interesting implications back. So we will say... Wait, is he going for it? Are we gonna get the double deer? Wait, no, he's not. He's going for the hunted meat gather rate. I guess Mongols can, instead of bringing the deer to their resource production or their resource gathering, they can bring their resource gathering to the deer more easily. What does he produce? He's actually going for the arrow emplacements, which means the tower can fire on its own here. Wait, what did they cost for the Mongols? Wait, has he put arrow emplacements on all of these? He's also gone for the Yam network. So the Yam network is Mongol creep. That's how it works. It gives a speed bonus to everything in range of the deer stones. We can just be packed up and moved like a mobile Stonehenge, as well as a speed bonus within range of outposts. Kind of like the network of castles, but for the Mongols. So you can have essentially speed bonuses with vision across the map. This also helps your villagers, if they're not direct, like, for example, chopping wood. They'll move a little bit faster, return it faster, which does pay dividends. Wait. It might take a few dozen more arrows, but eventually that tower will kill the other if it isn't repaired for 3 seconds. Well, what has the Mista been doing? He's been gathering the deer. I still want to see both players go for the deer gathering upgrade. That becomes a bit of a disaster, as both players just pickpocket each other's deer. Honestly, what I've found, the best way, once you're happy with the amount of deer you have, you just keep the scouts in your base holding the deer, so they have to kill the scout to get the deer carcass. Anyways, that's not happening here. Is siege engineering on the way? Not yet. We do have the armor, the ranged armor upgrade for the Viper. Is there a blacksmith? There is a... oh yeah, French get melee attack upgrades free, which is convenient. Wow, that mini-map kind of tells a story here. This is the key to Mongols, taking map control. A historically effective option, as Right now, the Mista feeling very boxed in. He's got his starting resources here barely. He can't really get to his own stone. At some point, he will chop through his wood, though we're a long way off. At some point, there will be a breakout. The scouts were able to slip out and pick up some more deer, so he has access to food for quite a while. Oh no, but the villagers! The people! Now, the question will be if the Mista wants to... It looks like he's saving up for castle right now. He's got 900, 600 in the bank. It costs 1,200, 600. You can get that guild hall, which generates free money over time. Literally free money. It just, like, after 5 minutes, it's like 3,000 resources of your choice. It really... He decided not to commit to that, though. It looks like he's just going to be continuing unit production here. It looked like he was saving up for castle, but is starting to realize that Viper's gonna take the map if he doesn't do something now. I think he needs to ram his way out of his base. That's kind of where we are at the moment. Maybe using the knights is enough, but Viper's kind of increasing his stranglehold here. Less of a Viper and more of a boa constrictor at the moment. So this is Mista's map. All right. This is the Viper. I mean, still somewhat limited, but that is... this is very uncomfortable. The knights will be able to break out. The scouts also have those anti-building and siege torches. Yeah, one knight just being pulled back. I don't know if he has the chivalry upgrade to make his knights not dead. He's actually upgrading it now as he plans on fighting. It will regenerate his knights out of combat. 1 HP a second, so it takes a while, but... Oh, it's ramming time. Mista starting to break out, which means Viper's ready to break in. The ram's coming in from the other angle. Mista will now... Uh-oh. One ram approaches. The ram will draw all the fire of the town center. And, of course, pretty good at killing buildings. It's a ram. The archers now... They actually still have the Yam network. Because the outposts are right there. Also, it's something that doesn't wear off until like 10 seconds out of range as well. Well, there goes the neighborhood. Several houses down for the count. A guild hall's on the way. He's going to castle under duress here. Archers trying to focus one another. If Mista can win the archer battle, he can kite the spearmen. He's just going to fight the spearmen heads up. What are the archers targeting here? Pretty much whatever they can. If he gets rid of the spears, his knights can run rampant over almost everything else. Yeah, the knights actually handle the spears pretty well. The town center's on the clock at the moment. The knights closing the distance on the archers, but Viper forced to retreat. The rams drawing a lot of the archer. No, there's a big mistake! Oh no, the archers do only emotional damage to the rams! Not having the archers with this means he's losing a lot more knights than he needs to. 3, 4, 5 knights at the moment. At least going down. More targeted by the towers. If the archers were with him there, he would have cleaned the field so easily. It definitely, it looked like a pretty good fight. But he ends up with only 5 bruised knights left over. He does have the castle age. Okay, he does. He has 48 to 47 villagers. So the Mista actually ahead in some ways economically, but the math is a little weird. There's a lot of bonuses and different types of resources and all that to factor in. So I'd say the start of that fight and the initial engagement was a solid like 90 to near perfect for the Mista. Like, that was as good as it could go. But then the archers got very interested in the rams, which is most of the value of the rams. Not so much their actual damage, but their the arrow's magnetic attraction to them. And that's when the knight count started dwindling. Now, the Viper doesn't have the third age. I wanna warn you, ignore the score for Mongols. And the fact the score is this close is a little concerning. But right now, the score for Mongols is bugged, because whenever they move their buildings, it actually counts as a copy of the building. So, that might be why we can't see the scoring game. But, just FYI, if you're going to look at that as a metric. The other civs, I think, are okay, but the Mongols definitely have some issues with that. Oh, we've got the Steppe Redoubt, which is the super gur. The gur, of course, the one size fits all. Well, larger size is better, apparently, but this returns even more gold when next to a gold mine, which I assume he will be moving it to now. There are still outposts just kind of chipping away at things. Mista struggling to find any wood, continuing to build knights. Bit of an awkward Age 3 transition for both players. Mista losing his... Okay, the attack notifications are making me lose my goddamn mind. Yes, we get it. There are several arrows being shot. Okay. But, where are we at? 54 to 50 villagers. Is there a second town center from Mista? No. I don't believe there... Oh, there... Okay. I think there are 2 TCs for the Viper based on the 2 TCs. Finally, the outpost will be cleaned up. Mista, to his credit, keeping his cool. Clearing things up, holding the line, and breaking out. What is this? Oh, that is... Wait, is that the Age 3 scout? That is a very fancy scout. I will say. Fancy hat. I don't know. I didn't notice that. I don't usually have time to notice the particular differences. What is this? Oh. He traded out the step... It feels like maybe a little excessive on this. This is the fanciest mining camp you ever did see. Look, they even got, like, festival flags there. Or maybe people are just drying their very colorful laundry. I don't know. I choose the second. I like the second one more. More barracks on the way. We had a bit of a lull in the action, as Viper has been consolidating his economy. He's now, both players at 60 workers. The French, each age, they build their workers slightly faster. I believe it's 15% in castle, maybe 20? And then, well, the Mongols have 2 TCs, so keeping up with that. That is a lot. He's got 22 veteran royal knights with plus, well, 5 ranged armor. That means plus 2. Wait, he doesn't even have plus 2? They just have 4 built in? Wow, that's... how much damage are these archers doing? Well, crossbows will do more, and they get a bonus to the knights. 8 on the archers at the moment, so... Well, this outpost is going to have a tough time. This one's cleaned up in the center of the map. Wee woo! Crossbows, a much more direct counter to the knights. The spears, more a strongly discouraging. Any knights are in this area, but the crossbows actually able to lay into them, especially in prolonged engagements. The Khan reminiscing about how the first one died to arrows from the TC. Not going to make a similar mistake here. A single horseman kind of scouting around. What happened here? Was there like a TC built and canceled or something? That's what it looks like, I'm pretty sure. Oh, no, run! Knights, no. Multiple Springolds constructed on the field. Siege engineering. The Uvu boosted siege engineering allows the Mongols to construct those siege weapons as they move across the map, fitting their very nomadic style. And the Springolds, a strong counter. They're just super crossbows, as we've been over. And with them, the Knights at significantly longer reach. Now, the spears have to be in the right spot. It looks like TheMista not going to deal with this for very long. He's chasing it down. Some of the Knights queued in. Men-at-Arms. Gonna soak a lot of the arrow fire. A few Knights get to the back line. Springolds trying to target them down. It looks like the spears will clean up some of the Knights at the back, but the front line has gone down. More Springolds targeting Amanga now. Splash damage range down across the board, but Knights forced to retreat on each flank. Oh, the spears continue to reinforce, and a lot of gold being lost here for TheMista, but the frontline men-at-arms, and most of the spears are down. Crossbows still laying in a lot of damage to the Royal Knights. Men-at-arms for the French as well, soaking a lot of it, but crossbows counter them too. Springolds doing what they can. A lot of flavors of large projectile bolts getting involved in this, trying to take down all this heavily armored cavalry and infantry. The archer count dwindling on both sides. Target fire from the archers of the Mongols. Viper targeting Mista's archers, but more men-at-arms coming up. Royal Knights as well. The crossbows still finding shots. Men-at-arms closing the distance. Surprised he hasn't targeted the Springolds. The boys and girls have been pulled to the front. Do they have the textiles upgrade? No, they don't even have the HP upgrade. So it feels a little weird that they're kind of showing up to the party now. I don't know where they came from. They wanted to get involved. Maybe they should have picked up some armor somewhere. Or at least, I don't know, a better shirt with more HP. It looks like the trickle of reinforcements fizzles out for TheMista. And now, the Viper closes in. The supply 84 to 128. Springold pops out of the siege workshop the old-fashioned way. The Mongols constructing more on the field. The knight count is not overwhelming with the spears and the men-at-arms easily able to chunk through. That's it. Mista taps it out. The Viper will overrun with the Mongols against the French, which still leaves the French on the table. But, overall, I think, TheMista broke out. To his credit, he broke out, okay? Like, he got out of 6 outposts just harassing every angle of his base. He did not crumble under that pressure, though the breakout could have been a little cleaner with the Knights. So it did end up costing him maybe a little too much, but the Viper was pretty all in. I mean, when you're spending that much wood on the other side of the map, well, you're going to have a tough time transitioning because the Mongols just need wood for their town centers. 900 wood for a town center. You spent, like, almost that much on outposts, so it definitely hurts the economy if you don't use it as sort of a springboard to put together an attack. But civilization picks. What's it gonna be? So, off the table is the Abbasid dynasty for TheMista and the Mongols for the Viper. We're on Mountain Pass, another land map. No water at all. It is a major factor. We're gonna see some civs we saw before. But not on the same side. Wait, yes, someone on the same side. Anyways. The Viper picks, once again, the English. Not breaking out French quite yet. The English will potentially have their redemption. against the TheMista, who now has chosen the Mongols. Honestly, the way the current rock, paper, scissors, though, like right now, the three civs that feel like they have really strong options are English, French, and Mongols, which are like rock, paper, and scissors. The other civs kind of feel like they have worse rock, worse paper, and worse scissors, which is why... and then there's Delhi, which is like, I disagree with the idea of rock, paper, scissors entirely, and I think we should play blackjack. It's like, all right, I guess we're gambling today. But Delhi has yet to make a cameo appearance. But that is why these three civs with their feudal age units and production, they just have a lot of early game options. And right now, and at the start of any RTS, and whenever there's like a major patch and any sort of other RTS, the aggressive options are usually... Well, the sword was likely developed before the shield, because why would you need a shield if people aren't trying to stab you or shoot you? So... And that feels like where we are here in Age of Empires 4. But I was talking about a rock, paper, scissors, all right? Right now it feels like the French struggle against the Mongols somewhat. The Mongols struggle against the English. And then the English struggle against the French. Now, but all of them can beat the others with more regularity. This is because the Mongols have the production and the Dark Age to... contain the French, as we saw last game. The English do well against the Mongols because they have that quick feudal age. The longbows prevent any sort of the kind of ranged contain that we saw in the previous match. And then the French against the English kind of soft counter the longbows with knights, though it is a bit of a back and forth. So... Once again, by no means decisive. There is no guarantee, but I'm not surprised to see English as the counter pick to Mongols, because the TheMista Civ was revealed, and this is what TheViper picked against it. Let's see. I mean, the Council Hall is always the choice. The Council Hall is simply too good. There's also another landmark. You get a choice of 2 for all the civilizations. Though, kind of, for Chinese, it is the only one that you actually ever think about the other one. But the Abbey of Kings heals units in range, whereas the Council Hall builds them ridiculously fast. It serves as essentially 2 archery ranges for the price of none, because it costs 0 wood to produce. That is competitive with the Uvu from the Mongols, where you can produce 2 units at a time via stone on a semi-regular basis as well. So probably a lot of units in the early feudal age here from both sides. Longbows and pikes up against archers and horsemen is likely to be the exchange. The deer stone's on the way. The mobile Stonehenge. Scout. Is he going to go pro scouts? Oh, I love the scouts build. He's got several scouts on the field. I guess you can do double scout production. Why not? Why not? Maybe get some of that raid bonus. Later on, the English really love their farms. So with the raid bonus and with the... fact that the English are super reliant on farms, killing farms is definitely a profitable endeavor. Though I don't know if we'll get there. Is this an early second TC from TheViper? He's already mining stone here. He's really committing to it too. This isn't just to show the scouts. He's got already 5 villagers on stone. Enough. With 9 on wood, 4 on food, he can continue longbow production pretty much constantly. But if he didn't queue up villagers like a noob. More scouts on the way. Tell me we got the pro scouts. All right, I want to see it. Though, once again, you can kind of just bring your resource gathering to the deer. I wonder if Pro Scouts gets an upgrade. Oh, they get a little bit of extra damage. Okay, that's kind of a terrible Uvu upgrade. It's a waste of stone. They already one-shot deer. I guess it's maybe so scouts can kill boars, which are the most dangerous enemy in the game. Where will Viper build his town center? Mountain Pass is exactly what it sounds like. So the seeds for maps, which are randomly generated, but these are curated seeds, essentially. There are some issues in the game with map generation and resources being somewhat unfairly distributed, but the admins of the tournament preset the seeds of the map, so that way they'd be fair between the players when they play on them. Of course, the players don't know which seed they're going to get. But for example here, there is sometimes on this map, for example, there are like actual tiny passes that generate in the mountains that neither player knows about until they try to path around, like a one tile space kind of thing. And that can be exceedingly annoying. But we have the pass in the center of the map here. We have relics evenly distributed, as well as sacred sites. So just for those wondering why that isn't an issue, shout out to the tournament for setting that up. Oh, the town center pretty far out here. Now, you're not up against knights, which can just ignore arrows. Horsemen do have to respect them somewhat. So deer are harvested at a quicker rate than sheep, though English farms are competitive. They do cost wood, and so do longbows. So that is the limiting factor here. Oh, he did get it! He's taking the deer home! Oh, I love it. It's my favorite upgrade right now. Shout out to Iagiz, the former SC2 pro, who's now the only player who plays Chinese regularly and Holy Roman Empire in the top 20 of the ladder, at least to my knowledge. And he does it by using these extra upgrades that nobody was using. This is kind of like, I feel like this is kind of like the Mongol town center rush thing, except it's taken some more time to develop, where it took a week or two until players started using these more extraneous upgrades that don't have an obvious benefit. But now they just kind of become a staple of certain playstyles, because it takes a little more thinking and a little more creativity to figure it out. I'll be honest, I thought it was a terrible upgrade. I thought it was useless. 275 gold to pick up deer? Are you kidding me? Especially for Mongols. But no, I've come around. I was wrong. It is definitely worth it, especially if you can maintain map control. And when your opponent goes for a town center instead of units, believe it or not, you get map control. Especially if you're staying on 1TC. What is Viper up to? Does he have a blacksmith? No blacksmith. He's just pumping villagers now. Another Rex? Oh. 108 stone. How much is the siege engineering stone upgrade? It's 175. So we'll have to see what the Mista ends up doing. He's still grabbing all this deer. This is several thousand food a deer. If he gets all the deer on the map, he could take Vipers. Like, Viper is right now, he's got his palings out. If he moves, they get deleted for some reason, but I think he's protecting his deer, because even while they're being harvested, the scouts can come in and take them. Which, Mista, please. I don't so right now he's kind of preempting that. Scouts not well known for their how well they stand up against arrows. Wow, 6. Wait, there are 2 scouts and there are also 4 scouts. Okay. All right. Effectively, wait, is one of those... Oh, they all have scouting... I don't know what the difference between the scouts are, but there are 6 scouts, effectively. Oh, he's coming in! He's Grand Theft Deer! He's going for it! The horsemen are just cover for the deer theft! The Khan has... Oh, well, that's... Khan! Worth it. Alright, Khan will come back. Deer will not. Though, did not go for the deer that were currently being harvested. I don't know if he'll come back for more. So think about it this way. A scout is 60 food. Each deer is 350. So, would it... And actually, Uvu scouts are only 30 food, effectively. So... If you lose 7 scouts, you've broken even for 1 deer. Now, I don't think you should do that. I don't think that's the most effective way to do it. I'm just saying the net amount of food you gain is equal to the amount you lose, even if you lose 7 scouts. Don't do that, but math, all right?
The numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you.
The step redoubt, like, Mista is at castle at 12 minutes, which is quite quick. Viper has 13. Yeah. This is a pretty typical... Honestly, right now, this meta reminds me of Bronze League heroes in SC2. No offense, guys, but it's like, oh my god, he got castle. I need castle. And, like, usually you wouldn't have 13 villagers, because while they do build faster, each one has diminishing returns. 4 villagers build twice as fast, 10 villagers build 3 times as fast. But it gets less and less effective. Oh, I need castle, says the Viper. He's now walled off his deer. So it looks like the most passive game thus far. The 3rd match. We finally don't have them punching each other in the face. Just stealing each other's deer and taking strong looks. Yeah, walling off. Ooh, 8,000 gold vein. You got 8,000 and 4,000 on the gold, and I believe it's 1,500 and 3,000 on the stone. The small versus the large, yeah. Just for reference. A single lancer. Spots the tower. Alright. Let me out! Having a rough time. So, Military Academy, aka Conscription, is invested in by the Viper. 25% faster unit production from the blacksmith. The Mista has +1 ranged armor, which, if you were gonna invest in anything, well... Oh, hello. Building rams outside the gates. Springolds thread the needle through the palisades. Springolds can shoot through palisades. They can't... Nothing can shoot through stone walls, though trebuchets and mangonels can fire over. Palisades, on the other hand, not as... There are gaps. You just can't see them, alright? There are gaps in between. The longbows and crossbows are... Oh, they really want this scout dead. And they will get it. The ram. Hit him again. Yeah. The Springold's not so great against buildings. More of an anti-unit unit. But the ram can literally only hit buildings. So, here we are. Springolds, the choice for the Viper. Let's look at the villager count. Right now, the Mista's at 49 against 61. How about the eco upgrades? The Viper has +1 wood chopping. He's got wheelbarrow done. Whereas the Mista has no eco upgrades whatsoever. So, that is definitely a disparity as well. He is essentially all in here, but he's got a lot of strong units to work with. The Springold count with that network of castles bonus is pretty nice. Also, the ram kind of getting turned around. taking down one space of the wall is usually not enough to cut it. As those units have a tough time getting along. Springald's just rotating through the stealth forest here, though, of course, outposts don't really care about that. He goes back to the deer stones, which have quite a large, like a full screen radius here. Mista? Is he going Imperial? No, he's making a Nuvu. As the stone, I think, depleted already, so. Moving it not too far away so he can easily... Does he have the speed boost upgrade for his buildings? I believe he does, but not moving them quite yet. Yeah, more rams. As time goes on, the Viper's going to get more and more of an advantage. He has the economy right now, though he doesn't know that Mista is on a single town center. Like, he can suspect it, but he's not been able to get any units across the map. He's essentially been turtling up, and against the Mongols, building walls and defenses is usually like a tried and true strategy. Well, I mean, you have to commit to it pretty hard, but 3 Springalds are enough to pick off the opposing ones, especially with the castle's bonus, but more outposts moving forward. Remember, the outposts perpetuate the YAM network, the Mongol creep. An outpost, an upgraded one, it has fortified, it's got 2,000 HP, and it has a Springald emplacement as well. It's a little awkward. There is no visual indicator until the Springald starts shooting at you, but you can click on it and see the attack upgrade. There is a visual indicator of upgrading the HP. It looks significantly more towery, so there you go. I think we all figured that one out. Is there a second town center? No second town center. A prayer tent on the way. Benefit of the prayer tent. You can bring the prayer tent to the relics instead of the relics to the prayer tent. If you deem it necessary. Though you don't get relic gold if the prayer tent is packed. It has to be unpacked and on display. Ram moving forward. The Springalds do okay damage against it, starting to chunk it up. The makings of a wall will not be enough to stop the Mista as he moves into possession. 133 to 131 supply. Viper at 78 against 60 villagers. The deer stones packed up and moving along. Very fast for a bunch of stones. The Nuvu, I think a bit of a mistake here, not moving his production or his infrastructure near the Nuvu. And that means he's not getting any potential benefit, though he is banking stone still. So he could move his buildings and still get the upgrades later on. He doesn't need to have the buildings there now, but, I mean, why not, right? Well, it looks like we're heading towards an attack. As this angle is incredibly tenuous for both players. Viper spreads out his units, suspecting maybe mangonels. There are no mangonels. A lot of Springalds here. The Springald exchange begins. The town must be defended. Signal arrow used. I believe adding that extra speed to maneuver in and out of the fight. The spears on the front line. Gonna give the lancers and horsemen a tough time. Getting in behind everything within the houses are the longbows. Springald's chunking through the spears. The horsemen look like they'll be enough to clean it up and close the distance on the longbows, but the cavalry count is really starting to thin out. 6 Springalds survive. Viper was forced to retreat and maybe repair. I've just now finished mining out of the gold. A convenient timing. I'm not sure where these villagers are going right now. I think they just finished mining out of the stone. So Viper maximizing his efficiency there. Oh, the towers, the Springalds! They didn't deploy! They didn't siege in time. They're able to be targeted down, but the crossbows are turning the tide. The villagers pulled into the fray. Does he have at least textiles? Why does nobody upgrade textiles? It gives your villagers 50% more HP, so they don't get murdered horribly when they are surprisingly effective against siege weapons. It is kind of a forgotten upgrade because it does stop you from producing villagers for the time being. But the villagers pulled off the line and will drive things back. And then decide to macro it out and realize there's still a ram. Wow, they're really... Go get him! Alright. Oh, that's enough excitement for the day. Back to stone mining. The spread formation still... I'm kind of surprised... Well, a mangonel could show up at some point, but it does make it easier for your units to maneuver around and to target fire units that are focusing. Honestly, I think the stagger formation is actually a smart move, even if there are no mangonels, because the cavalry will engage a unit at a time, and it makes it a lot easier. Whoa! The deer stones on the run! Oh no! That's a landmark! Oh no, that's Spriggles! No, let me... Oh my god, that... Run! Run! Oh. Okay.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine, and you're not really fine.
It's kind of a big deal. But there's a big fight happening in the middle of the map. The crossbows adding a lot of damage on the cavalry. The longbows mostly meat shields here. They have a surprising amount of tankiness. Not a lot of damage for either side. Wait, there's a shaman! I don't think that shaman will last long. The shaman actually healing! Though it doesn't heal particularly quick. Not quick enough to save the lancers. And the Viper overrunning the middle of the field. I don't know what... It looks like the deer stones were destroyed. They have to be repaired where they're destroyed. So that really sucks. Which seems unlikely at this point. The attack, I'm not even really sure. I think... Well, the Viper was preparing for mangonels. The stagger formation is preparing for mangonels. There were no mangonels. There were a lot of Springolds, but Springold's not that effective against massed infantry. So maybe there should have been mangonels, I think. I think Viper was expecting it as a major threat, and the lack of them ended up making it very difficult, because trading 1v1 with crossbows and... Well, all the longbows are dead, thankfully. Nobody likes longbows. Strela ball! But... it ends up being a rough trade, and at the end of the day, music just kind of ends awkwardly. Back to this. The Viper takes match 3. And there's your example of how to expand safely. It was still a little dicey, but Viper retreated and picked his fights well. We're going, though, to a water map. Well, not a water map, but also not a water map. It's Boulder Bay, which is more water than map. I mean, than land. So... I want to remind you, both players still have French on the table. TheMista did not win with French. Viper has not played it. What do you think? Yeah, they're both French. They're both super French. All right. Welcome.
Faked.
Because right now... Right now, the way the... game works, it seems like it may have been an oversight, but the French just get a Castle Age ship in the Feudal Age. There is no civilization that can in any way beat that ship. It is not close. It is not like, maybe if they might, no. So, not only can the ship beat every other Feudal Age ship if you spin the ship around, because it has 2 springolds on either side, if you do a little bit of like, you can have springolds firing at twice the rate at the same target. So not only would one springold already beat every other civilization ship, that you also can beat it twice as hard if you micro. So essentially, it feels a lot like Protoss versus Protoss and Wings of Liberty, where if one player tries to go 3-gate expand and the other player is French, shout out to Huck. Wait, no, Huck's not French. He's Canadian. I was making a French-Canadian joke, but that would just be Relic. Oof. Okay, stop. It's time to stop. If you went 3-gate expand, then you would die to a 4-gate. That's kind of where we are right now. You have to go for the ships, and while the map is not all water, fishing is the most efficient way. The most efficient way to get food, partially because it's quicker. A deep water fish you gather quicker, and partially because your villagers can do anything else than gather food. So, like, it's like having another town center, essentially, producing villagers for not food. So that means if you don't control the water, you've lost out on the most lucrative way to essentially do everything else. So that is why control of the water is so critical. Obviously, on full water maps, that's the only way to get around. If you lose water, you have a couple tough options in this matchup. Well, one is if you're not playing French, you find some sort of strategy, what many would call a dirty cheese, and try to sneak it on your opponent. Kind of like one of those one-time use, never will work again, but get me through the tournament kind of things. And that's how TheMista knocked out Marine Lord earlier in the tournament. But otherwise, like, there are several options, like going for transport ships and hiding a dock, which is a little difficult to do. And then, or just fight on the land. The problem is the hulks, the incredible hulks that the French get, can shoot about that far inland, the range of a springald, pretty much. I'm pretty sure they can hit the sacred site. So it leaves you with not very much land to work with, but it is workable, is the key point. So, who builds their 4-gate first, is my question. Oh my god, they're both going for the other landmark! The Chamber of Commerce. The only time we'll see it. It is a market, so you can trade for gold to get your ships out, and you get a bonus to trading for traders, and especially trade ships, which are super powerful and everyone forgets exists, because you can trade with the neutral trade post, which is on the island in the corner of the map that exists just to have everything important and valuable that everyone forgets about. By the way, the French reveal all trade posts at the beginning of the game. So since they're both French, they both know exactly where that tiny corner island is, though if you've ever played the map before, it's not hard to figure out. Let us see. All right. Who wins the war? And the beautiful spins. Really, who's gonna spin to win? Another interesting... Okay, alright. They're not allowed, because of regulations, they're not allowed to use their bows on each other. Or maybe they're just really bad at it. They can barely hit the deer. The age of Feudal has begun! Just generally. And the beautiful dance of death. What was I saying? I had another... Something was going on, but I lost it. Oh yeah, another interesting thing about the water, if we make it that far, and we may. So currently, the demolition ship Baneling upgrade is bugged. It says 40%. The actual range increase is approximately 200% because whoever was doing the math on the Mongol building speed was also doing the math on the demo ships. There was a multiplication sign somewhere that it probably shouldn't have been. But, so what this means is the range of a demolition ship is about the range of the ships it's trying to kill. So, two demolition ships kill a Hulk. 2 demolition ships can kill 10 Hulks. If we get there. So. Just something to point out. Oh wait, it's only supposed to increase the damage. Wow, it definitely increases the range. It definitely does. I didn't even realize it says damage instead of range. It definitely increases the range, though. Oh, wow. So it was in the wrong column with a multiplication sign. I hope we get to see it. I desperately hope. Well, we'll see. And now, the dance. Begin! Alright. Now, Jimmy, stop the battle music. So, another interesting thing is the seaweed. More like no seaweed, because it's like stealth forests in the water. But you can't build outposts in the water, so nobody can see each other in the stealth weed. Like these ships right now, the TheMista, well, I don't think he's quite in range. But, do we have an example? Ah! When you fire, you are revealed, but you could be 2 feet away. Also, another thing that's kind of important to note, when you do the spin to win strat, you can't hold fire the ships. So they will fire the first thing within the firing arc. Alright. Battle! Alright. Yeah, neither side wants to be on the losing end of this. Viper's kind of getting away with it. He has less ships. He's sending one back, I guess. He could bring fishing ships to repair. Yes, fishing ships can repair. Which is a interesting dynamic as well. Which is why docks have an AoE repair, which is okay. As you can see there. It's about 1 per second. Wait, is it 5 per second? I don't know. But the fishing ships repair at like 3 times the rate. So, of course, fishing ships can die. Though they can be garrisoned in the dock. Right now, this is the game. The game is the spinny water battle. Whoever wins the Beyblade phase will be able to both continue using their fishing ships and also potentially control the neutral trade post, which gives another additional source of income of all sorts of resources. Viper is definitely getting real tactical with it. He's continually sending out smaller groups, which definitely risks them being sniped off. But if he did you know that these ships move at the speed of ships? Oh my god. I've said stupider things, but it's a short list. So, they move at the speed of each other. They both have the 15% speed upgrade as well. Oh. So there's definitely more Hulks here. Oh. Spin! Battle! Spin! Spin the... To port! To starboard! Oh! Whip us around! Alright, neither of them is committing to the fight. I'm not... Okay, what's the count? We got 7 against 9 Hulks for the Viper. How many... one just popped out. So, a Hulk advantage, though the defender's advantage goes to Mista. How many fishing ships, though? The Mista has 8 fishing ships. The Viper has 7, which is... it's less. But the Viper is fishing from the deep water here, which is infinitely regenerating. Though I'm not sure exactly how fast. It is significantly, it's like 25% quicker resource gathering than the shore fish. All right, the scout here to chop the face off of this villager. The villager, dedication. You know what counters a scout? Did you say massive warships? Ah, he's back. You'll know when they're close enough. The entire fleet comes to protect the villager. Maybe a bit of an overreaction. Eventually, the Mista looks like he wants to wall Viper in, as the trees cover the other angle. What is the villager count? Mista has 59 against 54 of the Viper. He's definitely been cutting a little to get so many Hulks out, but he is going up... Wait, what is that? Oh, it's the guild hall. Of course it's the guild hall. Free money. Who doesn't love free money? The other option is the Royal Institute, which is a discount on some upgrades, as well as access to them in age early, none of which help on the water or have long-term returns. The Hulk count. Alright, let's get a Hulk count. We got 12 versus 13. But the Viper reaches Castle Age, which I think will inspire the Mista. Yes. So Castle Age, the Castle Age ship for the French is actually countered by Hulks. Looks like the Mista is stressed enough to just go for the fight. Viper is out at sea, which, even if he has the Hulk advantage, the docks easily... Well, is he getting the upgrades? He's getting the armor upgrade. Not anymore, though, as the dock is obliterated by the Springolds. And now, the great dancing of death. I'm not sure if any other upgrades are on the way, but the Castle Age upgrades are what make the difference. All right, the spin begins. All right, if I just spin as well at the same time, it'll look like they're standing still. That's how that works. Oh, a nice line here for the Mista, but it feels like he's not getting as many shots off. Castle Age finishes for the Mista. Viper is running out of real estate. All right, the ships are exchanging fire while on fire, which is definitely not great on a ship. Meanwhile, the stealth, the no seaweed, just continuing. The spin, Mista. He might lose one here. He takes a shot. It looks like Viper may be finding better spins. These are my thoughts on the matter. And where does this leave us? 7 versus 8 Hulks. Viper definitely with a few more ballet classes. He's got a demo ship on the way. Ah! Oh!
Surprise, motherfucker.
Did it kill the seaweed as well? The burrowed baneling. Well, that Yeah, that... So the real win of getting Castle Age is demo ships, not the Galleass, which I'm sure is how you say that, which is more like a tower ship, really. It has like a cannon mounted on the front, but Hulks beat it straight up. Ah! Uh-oh. Doesn't do nearly as much here. He doesn't have the upgrade. The upgrade is what gives it the super bonus, unless you're actually able to close the distance like Viper did. Meanwhile, they're both kind of just... land also exists, but, I mean, historically, not as important. Yeah, the upgrade is in the Imperial Age, so still a long way off, I think. The Viper is banking a lot of resources here. Especially food. You need 20... Well, you need 2,400 for Imperial. 2,400, 1,200. 1,200 gold. So, it is not cheap. Let's see. Let's look at the dock upgrades here. He's got the armor upgrade. Yeah, I think he has the line of sight and weapon range upgrade. The Mista, on the other hand, does not have the armor or the swivel ballista. So, like... adding more springled-like activities. Oh, wait, no swivel ballista for the Viper either. He's getting demo ships. So the water is still contested. Like, the classic tactic. Feels very Wings of Liberty-esque with these. Yeah, how about the guild hall? What about their investments? The Viper just pulled out of the guild hall. He switched to gold. He just used food? There's no way he only had 100. Interesting. The Mista, on the other hand, what does he have in his investment bank? He currently has 440 food. So, it looks like they've both been making regular withdrawals, which you gotta hold, alright? Over time, it gets to be several hundred resources a minute of banking. A knight. Probably the latest we've ever seen a knight with French involved. Now this is awkward. These ships do not see each other. The no seaweed is quite strong. Oh, they killed each other. Alright, so the demo ships killed each other. Very sad. Wait, whose knights are these? Well, don't worry. There are ships here. So now, this is kind of like Ling Baneling, except the Lings are, ultras with, Yamato cannons, and the Banelings are nukes. For you StarCraft players who need a translation, I don't... Well, the Viper closing in on the economy, whereas the Hulks were just trying to deal with the Knights. The demo ships are sailing through the no seaweed. Wait, he saw him. There's another one here. Oh no, watch out! Ah! The spin! Another one! Closes the... Oh, it didn't actually hit. Yeah, you really need that Imperial upgrade. Meanwhile, the Hulks are spinning. The Beyblade phase continues. 9 Hulks versus 7. Viper actually has mostly stopped investing in them. He's got some more demo ships, but he has enough for Imperial. There's no way he's banking that much by accident. He starts the Red Palace, which is a super keep. It fires Arbalisk bolts. So instead of firing arrows like a normie keep, it fires crossbow bolts at extreme range, and even more the more you garrison. So it's one of the... Oh no, he's running out of water! The land has boxed him in! Demo ships on both sides! The docks are repairing, but is it enough? Actually, some of the shots from the Viper are going into the dock. It's... Okay, demo ship pops out. Little awkward. Alright, takes out one. You can't control what the ship shoots at when it spins. It will automatically fire at whatever comes into range. So if the dock comes into the firing arc first, it will fire at the dock, which is another reason there's quite a defender's advantage on the water. But demo ships do kill docks, so there's that as well. I want the demo ship upgrade, but I think we've kind of stopped investing in the water here for both sides. Like, this is kind of just like the burnt out remains of the fleets, because a land battle has begun. Oh, watch out! Oh, well, demo ships on both sides. Well, we finally graduated. There may be no ships left at the end of this. In fact, I think that's the likely outcome, is 0 ships remaining. Well, never mind.
You're the last one. Complete the mission.
1 Hulk remains. So much for that water battle I was talking about. It appears we have fought to essentially a draw, but the thing is, the Viper still has fishing ships, whereas the Mista has lost everything but a Hulk. So, here we are. Where did the Hulk go? Where did it go? Did he lose it to a demo when I looked away? No, where is it? Am I blind? How does a ship hide? Ah! Yeah, I am blind though. I gotta... In the seaweed, obviously. What do we have here? The College of Artillery. So a split in the Imperial choices. The College of Artillery has the highest DPS gunpowder units in the... Well, the Chinese gunpowder might have more effective DPS, but these ones hit harder. Just like everything French. So, some cannons on the way. This wall, I think, was here just to block vision, because you can't shoot through the walls. You actually have to go around or break them down. The stone walls can only be killed by siege units. The Imperial Age is firmly upon us for both sides. The Hulk is making... Oh! 2 Hulks will finally... The water will be won by the Mista, but at what cost? Let's take a look. Mista has killed more. In fact, the Viper's only killed 9 units. There is no way that is the right number, but okay. So maybe land units, which seems a little biased at it. It is now 126 against 114 villagers. Mista with a slight advantage. How about those eco-ups? We got +2 wood chopping. We got +1 wood chopping. +2 mining. These are the ones he hasn't gotten, is what we're going off of. And +2 farming. The Viper has +2 wood chopping, +1 mining, and +1 farming. Or villager food gathering. Those arrows homing in. The keep doing its best to take out the cannons, but the cannons have plenty of ranged armor, and 1 villager will be able to patch that right up. Cannons blasting through the keep. Fire the cannon! Fire the damn cannon! Oh, well, that's unfortunate. That Culverin is in the wrong spot at the very wrong time. Where is it? It's oh, well, he lost the Culverin to the Springolds, but that was a royal code. That was 600 gold right there that just wandered into the battle. Whoa, it looks like the Mist having a tough time out here. To keep. Well, actually, a few hand cannons in the back gonna help deal with the infantry. They keep finally going down. There's a few at the back that are attempting to repair. It's at... wait, the cannon! The cannon! Yeah, the cannon. Alright, another keep coming up for the Viper. Backline Culverin. Culverin not so great against the keep. It is an anti-siege weapon. It is the anti-siege weapon. I don't think it's targeting the siege, though, so... It does one-shot Springolds, which is very nice. At a greater range, so... Just point it at the Springolds! Like this one! Thank you! Well, unfortunately, there are too many Springolds now, so he's gonna lose it. The crossbows trying to deal... The Springolds are getting a little ahead of themselves. The keep is on the way. I'm not sure... Is there a cannon? Oh, the cannon hanging out over here by the mining camp. Hand cannons, pretty good against infantry. No, not another... Okay. These are very expensive. Okay, we need to talk about budget concerns, Mista. Not Mista made of gold. Do you know how much each of these is costing us? We could have upgraded every eco upgrade for the siege you've lost. Did you not go to the College of Artillery? Is that like the University of Phoenix? All right, like, yeah, it says college, but what it really means is, hey, boomsticks, yay, shoot. To that I say, maybe don't put it right at the front as well. So this is not good. This is very not good. This is... The Viper is pushing him back. The Imperial landmark doesn't shoot back. And... What is the supply? Viper's at 169 to 138. The Mista needs to put something together here. I don't know... He's making a whole lot more stables. He's kind of given up. So currently the production tab has carracks, which could be used along the shore. Do we have what is happening here? Do they have the demo ship upgrades? Oh, there's still I do love the carracks. The broadside. Now that is what an Imperial Age ship should feel like. A broadside. They're still kind of both trying the water here. A trade ship happening. Remember the Chamber of Commerce we both got? Remember that? I don't know why people get the Chamber of Commerce. Like, they've made dozens more Royal Knights. The School of Cavalry makes cavalry 20% faster. All stables. So, that is the first trade. This is the first time the Chamber of Commerce has a chance to pay off. Because, like, who's going to go to the neutral trade post? I'm just saying, it was optimistic. I'm glad you guys had a good idea, but now we're stabbing each other in the face on land. So, here we are. I think 20% faster cavalry building would help both sides more, but I got beaten in this tournament because I didn't ram hard enough. It was very sad. I'm better at talking than playing. Winter, all you do is complain on your stream. I know. It is fun to watch. Is that? That is a Hulk. A moment of peace. Shh, even the music. Before the Carrack comes in again. 3 demo ships should cut it. Wait, does the Viper have... Does he have... He has the demo ship upgrade! Nuclear launch detected! Watch out! Oh! So, the damage... He didn't really need the range. The Carrack, a costly unit. 390, 270. Demo ships at 160, 80. So, if you trade 2 demo ships for a Carrack, you're coming out ahead. Also, the emotional damage is significant as well. Oh, the Hulk having a tough time. Broadside! Whoop. The cannons will bring it down. I don't know what's happening here. Why are there longbows? Wait, those aren't longbows. Those are villagers. Meanwhile, another demo ship showed up. It hit both Carracks here. Yeah, Carracks are definitely not the late game option. Demo ships are where it's at. Trade ships doing their thing. I'm not sure how much they get on return. Oh. No, you don't want to shoot them. No, it's too close. It's too close. Oh, it hit. it didn't get the full radius. You don't want to use all of them. There you go. Is that a demo ship? The only counter to a bad guy with a demo ship is just play on land. Just ignore the water. The Springolds, well, I could think of better things to kill the college, including the tower with a cannon in it, but there's not much else to shoot at right now, and we're not paying by the bolt. This demo ship continues to threaten the trade ships. $141 gold. Yeah, pretty significant. I think in half a dozen trades or so, maybe the Chamber of Commerce pays off, but the College of Artillery is a bit of a costly loss here. He can repair it, but repairing landmarks is a whole deal. Yeah, I guess demo ships are a counter on land. I want the demo ship. Oh my god, the demo ships could obliterate this castle. I don't know if... But wait! Speaking of castles, villagers have landed on the northern point of the Viper. He sees it, right? Oh my god. Vision is very important in this game. TheMista is building another set of production. A battle! There's sacred site! Sacred site, guys! There's a sacred site here. Okay, that's just... The hand cannons. The knights easily come around and deal with the Springolds. There's one cannon trying to hide behind the tower. It is larger than the tower, though, so that's going to be difficult. Hand cannons are just bashing through the front line, easily countering all this lightly armored infantry. The knights... Now it's Viper's turn to be losing a bunch of his siege in this engagement. The knights should be able to take down the tower. It definitely isn't the largest threat. The cannon towers and the backline in general is something that Mista needs to deal with, and has been continually an issue for him. The cannons fire. This is still Mista's wall, though it provides very little vision. Now, can we get the vision here? Yeah, he sees units right on the edge of it, but that's about it. Meanwhile, a landing! The beachhead! One keep should be enough to keep this at bay for now, but the knights are starting to continually produce. Cannons have turned and faced the wall, which means they'll actually potentially die to the knights. Oh no! The wall actually finally paid off. Meanwhile, this tower, I said it wasn't a big deal, but it's been firing cannonballs constantly into the fray, and those cannonballs can deal with the hand cannons. I feel like I'm saying cannon so much that it's starting to lose meaning, but that is where we are now. I didn't go to the College of Artillery and learn about how to say these words. Fusillade. Fusillade? Something French sounding. And other artillery-related terms. So, a handful of crossbows and a bunch of spears gonna be... Oh, well, we keep getting beaten to pieces. Those cannons really pick it apart. What is the wind condition? The trade ships are definitely okay. At this point, I think the trade ships have paid off. The fact that the Viper has not, well, he's been able to control so little of the that fishing ship. He's been able to control so little of the water that Mista is actually trading with half a dozen. But the land battle is being won. Like it's messy. This is peak Age of Empires right here. You don't know exactly what's happening or who's winning, but you got a general feel. The score favors the Viper. The supplies are both at 200. So this is where it gets interesting. It comes down to the army compositions. We got 2 Springolds, a monk, maybe for the sacred site, cannons, and then a bunch of spears, 30 for arbaletier, a hand cannon and a man-at-arms, whereas the Mista has a single arbaletier. Yes, I am proud of myself for saying that. and I might be saying it wrong, but I'm going to be proud anyways. 10 hand cannons, a transport ship, 10 royal knights, 2 cannons, and 8 horsemen. So, well, those villagers are transferring into... So, there's a decisive split. It's the cannons and the crossbows. Up against the knights and, well, really just the knights. That's the big thing here. He doesn't have a significant advantage. A few hand cannons, maybe, but... I'm not sure what we're even raiding at this point. Like, it is annoying for Viper to deal with this. I think this is the point where, sorry villagers, but... your time has ended. I don't think 100 villagers are particularly necessary at this stage of the game, as the amount of resources to actually be mined or gathered is quickly running out. It does feel like Viper's... He's continually pushing. He's gonna take the sacred site. One of 2, so it's not gonna trigger... Oh, wait a second. The hidden island. The Paradise Island over here. With a monastery, the neutral trade post. Oh, he just deleted his villagers. He thought about doing anything else on this island. He's like, your work here is done. Mista on board. Okay, I agree. He's had enough of these silly villagers taking up his supply. That's enough of that. Viper continuing to push forward. The cannons bashing through the keep. One hand cannon getting out in front of things. Oh. So, where's the big break? Where's the big break out here? Sacred sites, 1 per... It is about 150 gold a minute for a sacred site, so there is value in just owning it. Especially at this point when I think almost all the gold on the map is... Viper still has like 6k. Oh, wait a second. The Mista is reliant on trade ships, which are becoming less reliable by the second, as Viper has rebuilt something resembling a fleet. But the arbaletier, as well as the cannons, overrun by the Royal Knights and the Horsemen here. A bunch of towers with springolds in place. The cannons are very expensive, but the crossbows are able to retreat in time. Through the smoke of both flavors of cannons, you can see the Knights are able to win the day, but a lot of the expensive infantry make it back to the high ground. Mista's at 167 supply, and he's not really able to replace it. These are all pretty gold-heavy units here, and Viper just cut off his trade route. Yeah, well, that's the end of that. It looks like another Hulk Beyblade battle, but Viper chose to re-engage on the water, and he won. And now Mista has no gold income. So that's not ideal. Does he have... He doesn't even have the demo ship upgrade. Hand cannons doing their thing on both sides. Where is the late game? Is there any gold income? He's got 400 of me. He's got a sacred site. He didn't actually pick up the relic right next to him. Does he have any other relics garrisoned? He has 1 garrison, so he's getting the trickle-down Jesus gold. Viper, on the other hand, currently has 1,600 gold a minute, which is more. Or I could just have this tab, I guess. This one. Destroyed. I don't think Viper wants to repair that landmark. Horsemen being added in. Villagers happily chopping. There's... Wow. Still 3 cannons, couple springolds. Mista has lost momentum since the trade ships went down. Yes, he agrees. Tough fight. Honestly, wasn't I don't think either player really knew where that was going. Is where we ended up. So, Jimmy, it ended up. That was a lot. That was a whole lot. Viper now on match point. The Beyblade battles, the trade ships, the land war. I think Mista definitely had some opportunities to win the match. And it's obvious, like, they were both kind of grasping, like, at whatever idea seemed to come to mind at the time. But that did feel like a very Age of Empires game. Where the late game, everybody starts running out of normal resources, and you gotta start going every which way in every direction. So. What? Okay. Alright, Jimmy says time for a quick advertisement. Before we get into the next match. We are on match point, so we gotta thank our sponsors and all that. Guys, can pause ad block, that'd be awesome. Thank you for watching. I'll be right back. Hey everybody, I'm Winter, and I'm here to talk to you all about RTS games. Are you an Age of Empires fan? Are you a StarCraft fan? Fight! No! Here! On this channel, we have all the best RTS. And the rest RTS. And almost every day, you can find some of your favorite games. Now, if you made it this far into this series, then make sure to smash that like button. Soon to be the only button on YouTube. So, in that way, you can get recommended and force-fed more videos like this one. Or maybe slightly different. You know what the scariest thing about YouTube is? When you do anything different, because then people will hate you. But that's okay. I'm used to it. So, I hope you have enjoyed the cast so far. And remember, even if you're not able to tune in live and subscribe with Prime Gaming for absolutely free. Remember, if you have Amazon Prime, every single month on Twitch. Yes, on Twitch. For free. You can subscribe to a streamer of your choice. And every moment you don't, you're losing money for me. So subscribe with Prime Gaming. Even if you don't live on vampire hours, even if you're from the beautiful country of Europe, even if all these terrible things. Now remember, it's okay. If you don't have Amazon Prime, then you can go fuck yourself. So we've got a plan for everything. But I plan on continuing to create the best and the rest RTS content for you. So I hope you enjoy. Good luck, have fun, and good night. Jimmy! Welcome back. The Genesis $20,000 Age of Empires 4 kickoff tournament, aptly named the largest tournament, well, of any in Age of Empires 4 by process of elimination, but also giving us a window into what we can expect in the near future from this new AAA real-time strategy. I think Age of Empires 4, you can check out my review, has a lot of weak points. It is not the most technologically advanced real-time strategy game that we've ever seen, but it definitely has a lot of exciting parts for a lot of people, and it has a potential to be, with maybe some tweaks, a solid strategy game as well. Right now, everybody's just figuring it out. There's definitely a lot of stuff that seems super strong that once you figure it out will not be nearly as much. There are things that people take for granted that are probably going to end up being mediocre at best. And whatever metagame there is, I'm sure, and we've already seen it, will shift. Not just week to week, but day to day. So I look forward to more, and I hope you've enjoyed. With that said, match point. Let me introduce, currently getting hunted down by the Khan, as Rus, the first iteration, as now French, English, and Mongols are eliminated. Rus are the next choice of civilization for the Viper. Mista has access to everything but the Abbasid dynasty. He chooses the Mongols. We've already talked about the Mongols, so we'll focus on the Rus. The Rus, honestly, a bit of a budget French. They have an interesting mechanic of whenever they slaughter defenseless and partially defended wild animals, they get a bounty, which gives them gold directly and gives them a scaling bonus to their food and hunting cabin rate of production. So, hunting cabins, essentially, you make money off of trees existing, but you don't have to keep the trees alive. Like when you build the hunting cabin, however many trees are nearby, this case 24, you can cut down the trees, you're good to go. All right, then nobody's going to come check up on it. Just a tip for you new Rus players. Also, your scouts are also vulnerable to arrows. Just a tip for you new Rus players. So keep that in mind. We'll see. So another thing is we're on Mongolian heights here. So maybe a home field advantage for the Mista picking Mongols. There is a river across the map. And this doesn't seem like a big deal. Well, and there are no French here, but the river, ships can move along the whole river. It is very difficult to wall them. And also fish are very valuable. So, it looks like neither side going for the scorched water policy of deleting fish by constructing docks. But whenever there is water and fish, it inevitably becomes a focal point of essentially the entire match. So we will see what kind of tomfoolery. Oh no. Well, that is incredibly unfortunate. The Viper off to a bit of a rough start, losing a scout. Dock delayed at 98%. The spear showing up just in time. This is not ideal. Also, you don't really want to cancel, because if you cancel a building that the Mongols have touched at all, they get the raid bonus. They get that 50 gold and that 50 food. So you really don't want to cancel buildings that have been delayed. So there's also that extra. Besides just losing the building, you also give your opponent money. So that's not ideal. Those spears... Guys, over here. Yep, come around. The spears, the villager probably a little stressed out at the moment. Ah! Nope, that's a fishing boat. So, Rus fishing boats do not need to return. They have so much girth because they can hold on to the fish. They don't need to return it to a dock. So when your villager inevitably gets murdered and the dock gets burnt to the ground, you still have food income. Also, another bonus is they can convert into an attack ship in the Feudal Age. The reason a lot of people don't know these things is because the French just win against everyone on water maps. So the latter is a disaster. But in a tournament where neither player is playing French here, then here we are. A bit more dynamic. He gets a third fishing ship out. Does the Mista. He's building the Kremlin. So, another bonus for the Rus is any fortress, including the Kremlin, increases the wood returned at nearby lumber camps. Which means you get more wood per tree, which is a nice little bonus. It's not as good as the Golden Gate. The Golden Gate is a supermarket with great deals. For example, you can sell 100 food for 150 gold and not be affected by supply and demand, but only once per minute. So usually a more macro-oriented player will go for the Golden Gate, as we saw the Viper do earlier on with Mongols. But I think the Kremlin implies he just wants to not die. He wants to survive at the moment. So... Wait, I said the Mongols. Nobody made Rus. What am I saying? I got my civs all confused. The Mista is You know what gets me? I think this is a stupid excuse. But the Mongols, their flag is blue. But in this game, the Mista is red. Whereas the Rus flag is red. But he's playing as the blue player. So, real excuse for a real gamer. It makes sense. Don't judge me. I don't... But it definitely got all turned around in my head. A naval battle, yes. So, he has converted his ships into attacks. He can convert them back into fishing boats for a minimal fee. The dock will die at the speed of arrows killing buildings, which is, you know, not super fast. Maybe, wait, is that it's a light giant, it's an archer ship. Which, this does feel like a bit of an awkward fight, I will say. But the fishing ships and the dock will repair the archer ship. And during all of this, he is still gathering food, so... the Mista is with the Mongols here, so... So, you know, this is why water maps are so, what is the term I want to use? Interesting. Because they feature such unexplored gameplay, especially with these non-French matchups, and interesting situations. Right now, the Viper invested in these ships, but they're not able to do anything. He can't convert them back into fishing boats. I guess he could convert like one or two, but the archers and the tower also counter the ships. But the ships counter anything that tries to move on land and gets too close to where there isn't a tower covering, like so. Now, how did the ships sail over that same area? Very carefully. Okay. Looks like the Uvu will now be joined by a stable, a barracks, and the other stable. He does not have the super boost. He's getting the boost upgrade here. The blacksmith is also on the way. Wow, actually, wait, no, that's castle. 10 minutes in. The Viper adding on, what is it going to be? The high trade house. Kind of surprised he's building it with so few trees. I guess he wants it in a relatively safe location. The high trade house, it generates gold like a hunting cabin, and it spawns deer. And those deer add to the Rus bounty over time as well. So you get 10 gold per deer, plus potentially increasing the bounty up to the 500 limit. So it has an additional benefit. The other option is I think the Abbey of something or other that makes monks and also is the source of the Relic duping exploit. But you didn't hear it from me. Not that you can use it in the tournament, but I don't think it's super reliable to be picking up relics in this matchup right now. Not sure why these archers were here. I mean, I guess he killed the deer. The archers kind of just... Okay, well, they're dead now, so... A new age begins. The Mista, he doesn't quite have the resources for it. The Rus at age 3, the big thing is going to be the siege workshop. Rus, Springolds, well, and Imperial are the longest range Springolds in the game. They have, and Springolds are definitely a strong option The Mongols, though, with the right blacksmith upgrade, he can, in the Castle Age, make springolds on the field with his infantry units, so... we will see. Looks like he's already upgraded siege engineering. So the Mista not slacking on that potential. Oh my god, he's already H3. I'm so dumb. What did he choose? Oh, yeah, of course, the Step Redoubt. The other one is the Kurultai, which has a very cool name, but is a minor buff to units. I thought that was a demo ship. Oh, wait, what? The Rus ships can be converted to demo ships? I was not ready for that. Well, Viper, emerging gameplay. I've never seen Rus ships almost at all, let alone in the Castle Age. So here we are. No one gets to be on the water. Unfortunately, though, the Springolds do outrange essentially everything Viper has. Is there a siege workshop? Yeah, there is a siege workshop building Springolds now, but Viper's Castle Age Springolds are no better than the Mongolian ones here. And right now, yeah, crossbows are okay, but Springolds are definitely better. The Mongols can build way more. They can build them faster. They can build them on the field as needed. The only thing they can't do is repair. Whereas Viper had to spend 301 on a siege workshop that only pops out one at a time. It takes 30 seconds apiece. So it feels like a bit of a tough situation. 49 to 42 villagers. But the army here for the Mista is almost 30 supply higher. He's 13 to 29. Okay. The landmark trade house, which does not act as a market, so a bit of a misnomer in my opinion, but... oh, the Springald's just getting tired. It feels like the Viper was thinking about controlling the river. He failed, and now he has nothing. Am I missing something? He has 10 crossbows, a scout, and a Springald. That is very little more than nothing. He's up against 6 Springalds, which on their own might be able to win the fight. Yes, not great. The Khan is able to provide vision through the trees there from the angle. It's bad. It's real bad. It looks like we're getting a match 6. That's my call right now. Like, Rus can kind of trickle in gold income with hunting cabins. Like, right now, 800 gold. Partially, mostly because of this. This is why. But, oh. Like, hunting cabins. I don't know how many hunting cabins he has. He has 2. And I think that's counting the high trade house? No, he has 2 hunting cabins, so... yeah, and this is not a great map for hunting cabins. There aren't a bunch of trees. It's Mongolian Heights. Mongols weren't really known for their forest tactics. Yeah, the thing here is, and this might be a little weird for StarCraft players, but like, there is mining out here, like in a very realistic way. There are no more, if you just look at the minimap, there's no more large gold patches except on the other side of this side of the river. The trade can easily be cut off. There's one more gold patch. There is a limited amount of resources. So as long as Mista, how much has he? Does he know where those are? He doesn't. Or maybe it's the vision being weird. I think it's the vision being weird on spectating. The spectator interface could use all of the work, in my opinion. Like, yeah. Well, the Springolds are having at it, which is about the most fair fight the Viper was gonna get. It's not good enough. The Khan was killed, though, so there's that. Wait, which landmark? There's... Did he rebuild the High Trade House? Wait, what? Oh, the Mista. Wait, what? Enemy destroyed landmark. Where? Did he bring his deer stones up and lose them again or something? No, deer stones. Stepper down. No. No, he didn't. No, the landmarks are all intact. So that seems like the spectator interface could use a little work. I think it's the landmark was rebuilt, which is, it was undestroyed. Easily confused. It was undestroyed by the Viper. Key point. So, this does... Unfortunately, Viper isn't the one playing Mongols. He's already won with them. So he can't float his buildings to the corner, which is, I think, all we're really missing here. The Mista's at 138 to 66 supply. He's at 50 to 14 military. He's at 66 to 47 villagers. I think the Rams can go. Yeah. Well, the Springolds are gonna try. The Rams are altogether too tanky. Like, the Springolds do not counter Rams. I'm a big advocate for Rams being able to ram other Rams. Rams currently can only attack buildings, but Rams are essentially buildings. So as long as Rams can ram Rams, then we can ram Rams with other Rams, and that is the kind of dedicated Ram that I would like to have defensively. Viper's now out of food near... He has no farms. Well, I guess he has the deer at the trade house. Yeah, and it looks like the villagers are coming up. There's actually a ton of deer out here. Wait. When he rebuilt it, did all the deer... Like, does it still, like, bank up deer while it's destroyed? Or has he just... It seems like that may be what happened, because this is like 7 minutes of deer. And it's only been up for like 10, so... Oh, the deer stones! Not to be confused with actual deer, though I doubt it's likely they would be. The Springold doing emotional damage to the deer stones. Okay, I don't know. Viper has about 6 Springolds. The Mista has the rest. And he's building more at... Ooh. The real question is why the Mista isn't... This feels like a crossing your T's and dotting your I's and building your Rams kind of situation. But is he maxed? It's at 164. Okay. Against 95. It's not like the Viper's going to be maxed anytime soon. He's got a scout. He can take a look around if he'd like. Check the economy. This is kind of like, since you can't check the map after the game, this is kind of like scanning your opponent at the end of the game like we used to do in Wings of Liberty and all that. Yeah. It's not good. Well, he actually managed to mine out of the gold, which means he now has no gold besides hunting cabins. This is an optimistic town center. Yeah, Viper, let's go to his camera. The path ain't gonna be an issue there, definitely. So, does not engage, says the Mista. We can go to his revealed map. He's fighting it out. I mean, this is kind of a situation where the Mista just needs to pull the trigger. Yeah, this is a very sad Roost track right now. The music really fitting. Let's get some of that Mongolian victory. It really is feeling a bit okay, it's over. He got Imperial, the classic Imperial into GG. There you go. That's one way to do it. That is a tried and true tactic there. So the Mista puts another on the board. Roos definitely feeling like the odd civ out here. Alright, so on that melancholy note, we go into another match point, as they all will be, on Hill and Dale. And I bring you our civilizations. The Viper with the Abbasid dynasty. Not gonna try Rus again. And the Mista with French. Ah, that is quite a hill we're on. I don't know what a dale is, but context clues. So, for the potentially... Well, he's won with Abbasid, and he's won with Mongols now. French. This is another try. Is this the third try? Or second? With French here. So, there's the up and down side. There's a whole meta argument. Which, like... Everyone's played against French. More than any other civ, everyone has a build against French. The thing is, it feels... The bonuses for French are so strong. They got cheaper eco buildings and tech. They got faster villager production. They have access to knights with a free stable. So, even though everyone knows how they want to counter it, there's still very little room for error. That is how most players, including myself, feel. It's not that French is unbeatable. It's just, it's hard to go wrong. Especially in a best of one, but this is not a best of one. Obviously. That's why we play more than one game. Believe it or not. a quick 2 TC. TheMista is going to try. It feels like he's going to try to leverage the stereotype of just rushing knights into by just going to TC. The only reason to get stone this early is for another town center. In the feudal age, you can get a town center for 400 wood, 300 stone. So pretty costly. But definitely can pay off, especially with faster villager production. If Viper scouts this, which he will immediately, though, you gotta be a little careful. He knows exactly what's happening. He's going to see the School of Cavalry coming up. He's going to see the pull-off of gold for the School of Cavalry. Like this, if he had typed it in chat, it would have been less of a tell than what he's doing right now. Like, it is incredibly obvious. Now, the interesting thing will be how the Viper handles it. He's got the economic wing on the way. And with it, well, he's also going for stone. I'm not surprised to see the Viper also opting for the more macro-oriented play. No reason to try an all-in and put it all on the line when you're more confident, especially like the real bonuses of French kick in that feudal and maybe early castle age with the guild hall. But if the game drags on longer, the Abbasids have a ton of options, especially with the ability to construct siege on the field, like we saw last game. Oh my god! He couldn't kill the scout or claim the sheep, but he managed to kill a sheep off the back of the scout, which is, much like turning your ships into demo ships and blowing up their fishing boats, but on a much smaller scale. Villager is the only unit outside of like siege weapons able to one-shot sheep, so. Also the only unit able to destroy trees. Villager's got a lot of things going for him. It's like, are you gonna mine resources, build buildings? Yeah, but that's in the job description. Like, it actually ends up being Viper at age 2. Whereas the School of Cavalry slightly delayed as the 2 TC strat for the Mista. Let's look at the timing. He's got it almost perfect here. 400 wood. It's actually essentially perfect. Right as he hits Feudal, he hits enough for a TC. Where does he place it? So you can cancel buildings for full price, just in case. If you're an SC2, it is a sign, a mark of shame, to misplace a command center or nexus or something and have to cancel and replace it because you lose 25% of your resources. That's 100 minerals down the drain. Whereas, it is a little weird. You can get a keep to 99% and then cancel and get 800 stone back, but it is what it is here in AoE4. Just keep that in mind. Don't be afraid to replace the buildings where they need to be. Is he gonna go 3 TC? Are we gonna see a 3 CC Terran? Does Viper go 3 TC? No. That's ridiculous. Is this worth? I mean, like, it's worth. If he doesn't get attacked, it's obviously worth it. But, and he's walled off, so now I guess the scout could come up close enough, though. This is so greedy. I mean, this map is essentially the closest you'll get to Arena. The map where you can just well, you start with walls, and can kind of just do your build order. So Hill and Dale is the closest we have, as you can look at the terrain, like, It is designed to be the wall off and do your build map, though it isn't quite as direct about it. With the double palisades, you can really tell what the Mista's focusing on here. Yeah. He's about to have another 300 stone. Over by the gold, right? That works too. The Viper, on the other hand. Oh, there's one scout annoying us. Sound the alarm! I mean, I guess it's important. So, no rush 10 minutes, at least. That's where we are. Whose macro build is better? This is how, like, a lot of you out there might be like, now this is the kind of game I play. And yes, after all of this and on the most wallable map, it feels like we are going to have that build up to the castle age and then build the units you like kind of situation. Yeah, income per minute, definitely more useful. As you can see the resources already on the screen. I agree. Yes, it's going to be a Jimmy macro game. The music even stopped, which I noticed happened in the beta sometimes when nobody was doing anything besides building villagers and not aging up. It appears that is still a thing. Like if no one fights and if no one ages up for a while, the music is like, I'll be back when something's happening. What? 4 TC? No. Oh my god, he's building the defensive walls to put archers on defense. Like, we're theory crafting now. That is what this is for. It's not 4 TC. He's not going to go 4 TC. He's going to go 4 TC. Why is he still... Well, he's getting stone for walls. On paper, this feels like a good idea. Let me see how he does it. Does he destroy one? No, he builds a tower! A stone tower! Oh my, I don't think I've ever seen one in a pro match. Like... a stone tower! Much more dramatic to guard his... Wow, okay. Double palisade. Alright, alright. Was there one in the previous game? Maybe. I guess this is the first stone tower not built under duress. I don't know. Maybe this is like the Mista's thing. Yeah. Another point is, this is a good point. Keeps cannot retarget. They cannot target specific units. Towers can. So actually, thank you, Mista. And also this allows you to put archers on the high ground, where they can also target, where they can't do that in a keep. Oh my god. Well, I mean, if he wasn't telegraphing the turtle before... Alright, let's look at his map. I mean, he's scouted the whole map. He's getting castle now. I assume that's a guild hall. Yeah, of course. Let's take a look at the Viper, who already is upgrading, I assume, the culture wing. Yeah. For the tech cost reduction. Maybe medical centers, but, like, probably not. As that would require a keep to be that useful. Maybe, like, medical centers is cheap, but is definitely one of those, like, fill-in-the-blank techs when you're in the later game. Viper is sitting on 1 town center, 2 town center, 3 town center. He's got 60 villagers against the 75 French vills. 75. 12 minutes. Approaching StarCraft worker levels. Not quite, but... he's pumping them out. Yeah, SimCity. This is a SimCity game indeed. This is like a trailer game. This is like, you show these bases as in the trailer. No one actually plays like this. But here we are. Wow, here we are. Preservation of knowledge, yeah. 30% discount on all tech. All of it. I'm not sure if that applies to tech that's already researching at this time, but he starts his conscription at his military academy. And he's going to go reach out for relics. And this is where things get dangerous for the TheMista. Relics cannot be underestimated. Even if you're not up against the Holy Roman Empire, that it's 150 gold a minute per relic. And then in the Imperial Age, you can add on other resources as well. So that is like 5 or so villagers mining. It really, you get 2 or 3, really starts adding up. The scout sees it, but what can he do? He has no unit. He doesn't have any units. Like, right now, the TheMista has 4 crossbows and a scout. Like, Springald. Oh, was there a tower built? I guess he canceled the tower. Or, no, there's no way it was destroyed. I don't know what happened there, but... yeah, Viper's just grabbing the map now. And, like, you might have... yeah, he just picked up the relic. The scout can't really do anything. He can see it. Like, he sees the map slipping from his grasp. He sees the villagers heading out. He sees the keep. Like... the Viper does not see the scout, by the way, because... oh, well, he does now.
Hello there.
Oh, Miranda! Oh. Well, alright, so, yeah. I think it's pretty clear he did not see the scout until that moment. I think all signs point very much to that. So he knows that the TheMista knows what he's doing. So the question is, can you sit in your base and do nothing like a Bronze League hero? No offense, mister. And come out and win the game. And, like, this is not, like, turtling. This is, like, super boom. Okay, there's definitely a lot of turtling. But Viper's just taking the entire map. He's grabbing everything. He's grabbing the relics. He's getting the outposts. His map, he's uncovering the map at the outpost. Constant vision, gold mines, berries. So Mista will have to build... he's started Imperial Age. TheMista... he's got 107 villagers up against 92, so not even that much of a deficit. The sacred sites and the relics are going to start making up the difference. He's making a trailer base here. Like, literally, put this on a wallpaper and... oh, wow, look at all the farms. Is his late game army going to be strong enough? Like, because the Viper will be knocking on his door, I think, before the TheMista can actually put it all together. Like, also, at some point, the gold runs out. And then the only gold income will be the guild hall. So, like, oh, he has, well, the time, Jimmy, start the clock. 1638. We don't have a way to show it because the spectator interface is could use some work. But yes, so there is, like, you got to come out sometime. As right now, yeah. We came out with 3 knights, but that wasn't quite enough. Yeah. So, if that's the plan, I mean, this is definitely a very, very different game. He just deleted his walls instead of... I guess it is super annoying to build game. Yeah, the map kind of tells the story here. Like... well, Imperial Age. Mista wants to do anything before Imperial fully kicks in. He's heading straight for... Are those scouts? Yes. He's got the Arbaletriers. The super crossbows. Honestly, as amusing as it is, I really hope that Mista's strat does not work. Just as like a player, I really hope that you can't just sit in your base and max out and then come out. But we will see. Because all these French units are the best version of the unit. Well, not the scouts maybe, but like Royal Knights are the best knights in the game. Arbaletriers are the best crossbows. They literally just do more damage than other crossbows. And they fire faster. So, but what the Abbasids have, well, one is Imperial Age for bombards. And also the ability to build siege on the fly. It looks like the sacred sites will be neutralized. And the battle will begin! The scouts trying to move around. Scouts not bad against siege. They also have torches. There's no mangonels here. The bombards, some good maneuvering by the knights, able to slip through the gap and get on top of the cannons, making the difference, but not enough of them as the spears collapse and the Viper is able to protect his valuable siege. Spears actually making it into the crossbow line, which is kind of indicating how the rest of the fight is going here. Crossbows, not a great counter to spears. They're just not very efficient against them. There are no archers in the mix, and that means the Viper is going to clear the field. The spears will be able to push back the knights, and the crossbows are not enough to cut it. He needs hand cannons, but he doesn't have Imperial. He needs siege, but he spent all his money on these gold-heavy units. So he cleared the sacred side, but that is the only win in this fight. 182 to 148 supply. Now, this is not a good fight for the spears. So, the Arbaletriers have +5 melee armor. Like, while they don't kill the spears very fast, they have 7 armor against the 14... wow, 14 attack. Spears get a bonus against cavalry, but I didn't realize I'm sure he has all the upgrades. But, because at this point, the Viper has pretty much everything. This keep comes up, and unfortunate timing for the Mista. The bombards are looking to break through the already open walls. The towers are not going to protect you from these massive cannons. Blasting through at the moment. The knights looking for any opportunity, but a couple picked off by a garrison keep. The Viper reclaims the sites. And right now, this is by far the most one-sided looking game. The Mista tried to deathball it. He tried to build the perfect composition and move out, but the Viper showed that macro is probably going to be better than micro. And even with good micro, you're just not overwhelming this Abbasid army. The siege reinforcements, the bombards, the spears and men-at-arms in the front. The front line is far too much and the back line is devastating. Mangonels raining down, bombards blasting through. A single tower, how about half a dozen cannons? The Viper is the winner of the very first major tournament in Age of Empires 4, continuing his trend with games half that number. And he will be your champion. 4-2, the Mista showing some interesting things, but that last game was definitely a stylistic split. The Viper with his strong map control. I'm glad to, personally, I'm glad to see it, because I would not like the ideal strat to be sit in your base, build 3 TCs, and stonewall off, because I would pull my hair out. Of course, I also don't want the game to be rush knights into your enemies' villagers in the Feudal Age, but I'm sure as time goes on, we'll find more of a balance, if you would. And I hope you enjoyed this first tournament. Shout out to the Elite Gaming community. If you're an Elite gamer or aspire to be, you can check out their Discord, which Jimmy will remember the link, I'm sure. If you did enjoy, like, subscribe, say, Winter, I like all of your videos, and I begrudgingly watch this one because I'm a StarCraft 2 fan, and Cyril versus Clem intimidates me, and I can't follow it. This game is much more my speed, or something along those lines. Or, Winter, I hate you, don't abandon us, why have you lost your passion? Or something like that. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Good luck, have fun. Stay tuned.